Okay, colleagues from across the Commonwealth, I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us for our sixth installation of Voices. Our webinar series today is entitled Farming Smarter, Feeding Stronger. I am Dr. Schontal Moore, your host for today's session, and I am the advisor for the Virtual University for Small States of the Commonwealth at the Commonwealth of Learning, and I am joined by the co-host, Dr. Lisa Tomlinson, Head of Department of Literatures and English at the University of the West Indies, Mona, Jamaica. I was going to say this morning, but I know many of you might be experiencing nighttime or evening time, whatever the case is. But in this moment, we're going to have our two main presenters from the Commonwealth of Dominica, that's located in the Eastern Caribbean, who will be sharing in this webinar presentation. Before I introduce them, I want to just commend you, our dedicated stakeholders, for staying the course. I know we had technical difficulties at the start, and you have returned, and I am so very thankful and just want to commend you for that. Now, we are definitely recording this session, and we have also recorded all our other sessions so far. This is the sixth, and I will be sharing in the chat space somewhere throughout this presentation the link where you can actually access the past recordings and also this one in its entirety. All right, so I want to now introduce our presenters to you properly. We have two presenters, Dr. Kimone Joseph, who is the head at the UWIGlobal in Dominica. Her concentration areas have been mass communication, communication studies, and higher education leadership and management. And in addition to her administrative role as head at the GlobalCampus Dominica campus in Dominica, she's also a lecturer there at UWI. Our second presenter is Dr. Barry Casimir, and he is a program officer at UWIGlobal in Dominica. His specialization spans management studies, adult and continuing education, as well as higher education, leadership, and management. And in addition to Dr. Casimir's administrative roles at the Global Campus, he's also a lecturer there. So I am going to turn over to them to share with us the title of their presentation. I've been deliberate not to call it because I want them to do that. And then, they will continue the conversation of adding their voices to Voices webinar series. So without any further ado, I'm going to now turn over to Dr. Joseph and Dr. Casimir to take us through their presentation. And because I will be sharing screen, I'm going to do that and leave it up to them to tell me when they would like me to get started. So it's over to you guys.
Thank you very much. And I trust that you are sharing your sound and that all is well now in that regard. Good afternoon to everyone. And our title of our presentation is Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School, the Dominica Farmers' Lived Experience. Greetings, everyone, from lovely Dominica. My name is Dr. Kimone Joseph, and I will begin the presentation today with an introduction and then pass on to my colleague, Dr. Barry Casimir, who will present the analysis of the data. Then I will return to provide our conclusions. Our presentation today stems from the investigation of the pilot Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School course, which was conducted in Dominica through a collaborative effort of the Commonwealth of Learning, the University of the West Indies Global Campus in Dominica, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Blue and Green Economy in Dominica. Change slide, please. Overall, today's presentation will explore the main question, which is, what were the experiences of the participants of the pilot Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School in Dominica? Change slide, please. To answer this main question, we have asked 3 sub-questions. Number 1, how did participants assess the teaching and learning activities provided by the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School? Number 2, what were some of the challenges faced by the participants of the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School? And 3, what impacts did the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School have on the agricultural practices of the participants? Change slide, please. According to Vanderburg, Phillips, Dick, and Frederick 2020, if there is to be any hope of attaining the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which target agriculture, food security, and natural resource conservation, then programs that specifically target and empower rural people as agents for change are crucial. Mdia et al. 2024 define empowerment for farmers as, quote, the process of enhancing farmers' knowledge, skills, and decision-making abilities, close quote. They further purport that a solid way of empowering farmers is through training approaches that provide participants with occasions for experiential learning, knowledge sharing, and skills development that expose them to new agricultural practices, innovative technologies, and sustainable farming methods that enhance their capacity to adapt to climate change. Change slide, please. The collaboration between the Commonwealth of Learning, the University of the West Indies Global Campus in Dominica, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy in Dominica to facilitate the course in Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School was certainly a step to empower rural people. Instead of designing a course or a program that would focus on traditional top-down approaches to teaching and learning, the collaborative project sought to use the Farmer Field School approach to explore issues of sustainable agriculture in Dominica. According to Kai, Hugh, and Hyung 2022, the use of the Farmer Field School method of teaching pays more attention to bridging the gaps between the farmers and new technologies and focuses on farmer-to-farmer dissemination of knowledge and skills that encourage participants to share their experiences with other farmers. Quoting Feder and Quizor 2004, Kai et al. 2020 go on to explain that the Farmer Field School approach, quote, in that Farmer Field School approach, quote, farmers play roles not only as extension agents, but also as facilitators, which helps them to develop their analytical skills, their critical thinking, their creativity, and helps them to learn to make better decisions, end quote. Thus, if we are to return to the idea of empowerment, Vanderburg et al. 2020 explain that the opportunities presented by Farmer Field School methods provide a chance for experiential learning that is able to empower farmers who face heightened vulnerability due to climate change. Change slide, please. The synopsis of the course. The Commonwealth of Learning, the UWIGlobal Campus in Dominica, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economies training course in Sustainable Agriculture is an 18 contact hour continuing and professional education CPE course that uses the Farmer Field School approach to assist both crop production and livestock farmers in building skills and competencies in key areas of food production and environmental resilience. Through the use and demonstration of contemporary approaches that incorporate technology, innovation, artificial intelligence, participants work in a farm setting that incorporates modern production systems and techniques. This course was designed for rural crop and livestock producers and farmers who have a basic computer literacy skill and have at least 1 year farming background and who wish to upgrade their skills in specific areas like pest and disease resilience and control, alternative production systems like hydroponics, aquaculture, and aquaponics, modern small ruminant production systems, up-to-date pedagogic practices, marketing techniques, and technological integration for improved efficiency. Change page, please. Let's talk about Dominica's specific projects. The pilot Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School course was developed to provide practical farm-based training opportunities in sustainable agriculture for farmers and other agricultural workers, including young people, men and women located in rural farming communities. The project has a goal of assisting the farming community to generate income and boost food security in their communities while harnessing open distance learning education and technology to promote equitable access to training. The UWIGlobal used existing virtual university for small states of the Commonwealth content and multimedia technology tools to design and develop the modular training course to meet the needs of the rural farmers in the Commonwealth of Dominica. The UWIGlobal delivered the pilot as a practical course at the Dominica China Agriculture Training Complex at the 1 Mile Agricultural Training Station in the town of Portsmouth over 6 weeks from October to November 2024. There were 26 participants, and the pilot course was delivered by Mr. Kian Stevenson, an experienced farmer field school trainer within the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Mr. Stevenson was supported by trained field personnel from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy during the practical on-site training at the 1 Mile facility in Portsmouth on Dominica's northern coast. Change page, please. In our presentation today, we will explore the overarching question of the lived experiences of the participants of the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School in 2 key ways. Firstly, we will analyze quantitative data from the course evaluation survey, which was completed by 77% of the participants. This will allow us to answer our first sub-question, which assesses the quality of the teaching and learning exercises of the course. Even further, the quantitative evaluation feedback is crucial for planning for future cohorts because it allows for the opportunity to examine its current and potential impact on vulnerable groups like women, differently abled people, and indigenous people. The second way that we will explore participants' lived experiences in the pilot Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School is through the use of qualitative data. Using a sample of 20%, that's 5 participants, we conducted semi-structured interviews and captured these sessions using video recordings. Mohajan 2018 explains that the use of qualitative data can enhance social science investigations because, quote, they explore the behavior, perspective, feelings, and experiences of people and what lies at the core of their lives, end quote. Thus, using qualitative data, we will be able to answer our other 2 sub-questions. The second sub-question is, what are some of the challenges faced by the participants of the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School? And question number 3, what impacts did the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School have on the agricultural practices of its participants? So rather than competing with one another, the use of both the quantitative data retrieved from the course evaluation survey and the qualitative data from the semi-structured interviews, they work together to provide a more complete understanding of the impact of the pilot Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School course on its participants. Therefore, the flexibility provided by the combination of the numerical quantitative data with the rich descriptive qualitative data enables the exploration of a more comprehensive insight. And that is according to Orenga 2025. To reiterate, our main question for investigating the pilot course that was completed in November of 2024 was to explore the experiences of the participants of the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School. We broke this main question into 3 parts. Number 1, we asked, how did participants assess the teaching and learning activities provided by the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School? Number 2, what were some of the challenges faced by the participants of the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School? And number 3, what impact did the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School have on the agricultural practices of the participants? Change slide, please. My colleague, Dr. Barry Casimir, will now present the analysis of the quantitative data provided by the course evaluation survey, as well as the quantitative data provided by the semi-structured interviews. Dr. Casimir, over to you. If we could go back a slide, please.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and thank you, Dr. Joseph. Yes, please go back to a slide. Yes. As previously highlighted by Dr. Joseph, our team adopted a mixed methods research design, capitalizing on the complementary strengths of both qualitative and quantitative approaches. This methodological choice was driven by the need to capture both the depth and breadth of understanding the participants' lived experiences in the Farmer Field School course. The integration of multiple data sources not only strengthens the validity of the findings, but also facilitated a more nuanced and contextualized interpretation of the participants' perspectives and outcomes within the course. A total of 26 participants registered for the Farmer Field School course. Of these, 20 participants completed the survey, representing 77% response rate. Notably, 70% of the survey respondents were women, which reflects the ongoing efforts to promote gender equity within the sector and signals the involvement in the course demonstrates not only the interest in acquiring new skills, but also the critical role in enhancing food security, improving household livelihoods, and leading innovation in farming practices. The high female participation suggests that future training initiatives should continue to foster inclusive environments that support and encourage women's leadership and technical growth in agriculture. We also looked at the age range of the participants. The survey revealed that a significant majority of respondents, 80%, were aged 40 and above, highlighting a strong representation of older farmers within the agriculture sector. These findings align with broader demographic trends in Dominica, where farming continues to be dominated by an aging population. It reflects a generational shift away from agriculture among young individuals, raising concerns about the future sustainability of the sector and the need for targeted initiatives to attract and retain younger farmers. Change slide. We looked at also whether or not the training met the expectations of the participants. The survey revealed that 85% of the respondents felt that the course exceeded the expectations. This indicates a high overall quality of the program, suggesting that it was not only well designed and effectively delivered, but also highly relevant to participants' needs. Many participants reported acquiring new practical skills that could be directly applied to their work, while also deepening and strengthening existing competencies. This positive feedback highlights the program's ability to engage learners, foster confidence, deliver meaningful learning outcomes. Additionally, the high satisfaction rate may contribute to increased interest in future training opportunities and underscores the value of continued investment in capacity building initiatives in agriculture. Change slide. We now look at the outcomes, how the participants actually viewed the course. The survey revealed that 100% of the respondents felt that they had learned new skills and could immediately apply these skills on their farms, while 80% felt that they were given an opportunity to refresh and reinforce their current skills. The survey also highlighted that 55% of the respondents felt that they would benefit from a follow-up training session or another short course on the topic covered in this course, while no student felt uncomfortable in their knowledge on the topic covered. These responses underscore the effectiveness of experiential learning hands-on training and reinforces the value of learning by doing approach. Such practical, immersive training methods not only enhance knowledge retention, but also build participants' confidence in implementing innovative skills in the real-world setting. The immediate applicability of the skills, same slide, back. The immediate applicability of the skills gained suggests that the training was highly relevant to the participants' current farming challenges and aligned with their day-to-day needs. Furthermore, the outcome points to the program's potential to drive meaningful improvements in agricultural productivity, sustainability, and resilience at the community level. It also highlights the importance of continued investment in field-based training initiatives that prioritize practical engagement over theoretical instruction. Next slide. We now look at assessment. Look at the comfort level, which areas the participants felt that they were more comfortable as it relates to the ability to be assessed. When it came to assessment, 80% of the participants expressed a preference for discussions, while 60% liked group work, both of which contributed to a dynamic and engaging learning environment. The survey also highlighted that only 50% of the respondents preferred to be evaluated through quizzes. So most of the participants, they preferred the discussions, while others, 60% preferred the group assessment. Overall, they preferred more discussion type assessments. We now move to the qualitative data, the participants' lived experiences. We examine the course evaluations, but we are shifting our focus to exploring students' lived experiences through semi-structured interviews. This phase involves collecting in-depth insights from a selected sample of 5 participants. In response to the question about what motivated participants to join the UWI Farmer Field School, a common theme that emerged among participants was their strong interest in agriculture. A key theme that emerged from participants' responses was a deep-seated interest in agriculture, which served as a primary motivator for joining the UWI Farmer Field School. Many participants expressed a long-standing passion for farming or desire to deepen their knowledge and skills in agricultural practices. For clarity and ease of reference, we direct attention to the accompanying video on the next slide.
Actually, I'm interested in agriculture, and I was told by my field officer that there is a farmer field school, and I'm always interested in doing agriculture. Although I'm visually impaired, but agriculture is part of my life and my livelihood.
Well, what motivated me was that I got the information on our farmers group. Our officer Natoya posted on the Portsmouth Farmers Group, and I just realized it's something of great importance. And when I got the call from one of the representatives from UWI, and they explained everything to me, I said, let me just take the opportunity, because it's something I like, farming.
So prior to joining the UWI Farmer Field School, I was already involved in the agricultural sector. So I'm a farmer and I work with some agricultural organizations. And so I had seen the UWI Farmer Field School being shared in a couple of the group chats that I'm involved in. And a person who's always interested in learning a bit more and wanting to develop my agricultural practices, I thought it would have been a good place to start.
In response to the second question, which asked participants to describe a specific lesson or activity from the Farmer Field School that specifically enhanced their practice, 3 themes emerged: the integration of soil testing, proper use of fertilizers, and the use of AI in agriculture. The interview with the participants from the Farmer Field School revealed strong interest and evolving practices around the proper use of fertilizers, soil testing, and the use of AI in agriculture. These themes reflect growing awareness among farmers of the importance of data-driven decision-making for improving productivity and sustainability in agriculture. To make things clearer, we refer you to the accompanying short video.
And I think for me specifically, the lesson on fertilizers was the most interesting and the most applicable to my sustainable farming journey, specifically because I saw that I was using entirely too much fertilizer when it came to my plants, but additionally seeing ways that I could incorporate pen manure and rabbit manure within my fertilizing practices.
We do the AI, we do the testing of the soil, and then I get to know where your soil is much clay, where it's sandy, and for your phosphorus and nutrients, all those stuff that I never really, I was just doing my own farming.
Well, one of the things is the AI. And with AI, you can just go on the farm, grab a leaf, and you see a pest on it, on the crop. And you can just do your research online, and you get all the information that you need. And AI also, you need farm protection, and AI is so important. And even many things I didn't know about AI in that session, I learned a lot.
In response to the question, as to the challenges faced during the Farmer Field School, the common theme revolved around accessibility challenges limiting broader farmer participation.
Well,
A common theme identified by the participants was accessibility of the Farmer Field School location. Many found the site too far from their homes, which made regular attendance difficult and at times discouraging. One major difficulty reported was by a visually impaired participant who found it challenging to engage fully in the Farmer Field School due to the lack of accommodations for his disability. These concerns underscore the need to decentralize future training sessions across multiple districts to enhance accessibility and ensure inclusive participation for all farmers. We now refer to this video for ease of reference.
Well, I had a lot of challenges because, as you know, I'm visually impaired. I only have 5% of my vision. Only by hearing that you can learn, in my case. So I overcome it by listening attentively, and the presenters was clear with their presentation. So I absorbed a lot from that.
The only challenge that I faced during the Farmer Field School was the location. So the Farmer Field School is located in the northern area of the island, and the vast majority of the participants lived and farmed in the area of the northern area of the island. But me specifically, I'm from the central region of the island, so I was having to drive about an hour and a half every day to get to the Portsmouth area to be able to do the class, and then having to make the journey back.
I know they advertise it, and a lot of us attended, but like you have it in the different areas. So you have one in Portsmouth, you may have one in the north, south, east, west, or something like that to accommodate in terms of transportation, to accommodate the other districts.
In response to the question how the Farmer Field School influenced your approach to sustainable agriculture, a common theme that emerged was the importance of farm management. A prominent theme that emerged from the qualitative data was the increased recognition of farm management as a critical component of sustainable agriculture. Many participants reported that prior to attending the Farmer Field School, their farming practices were largely based on tradition or trial and error methods. Through the Farmer Field School, they were introduced to more scientific approaches to managing their farms, which included the use of AI, marketing, planning, and record keeping. In fact, one participant noted, "Before I was doing my own thing, now I know how to fertilize, your calculation, all that I take into practice." The shift from reactive to proactive decision-making was frequently cited as a major benefit of the course. We now move to this video to reinforce what I'm saying.
Well, I had a lot of challenges because
my approach to sustainable agriculture, the Farmer Field School helped me a lot. Right now, I'm thinking of AI on my farm, so I want some solar cameras. And maybe if I didn't go for the Farmer Field School, I would not think of that. I would just think, you know what, people always thief what you have on your farm and whatever. But it helped me to really think as to, if you want to maintain profit, farm management is so important, and that is one of a great aspect. And another thing as well is also marketing. When I look at marketing is key, and you have to treat your farm as your business.
Coming to this farmer field school has helped me to reach out, have that outreach, you know, to the different participants and more so you all, because if it wasn't for you all having that farmer field school, will not be. So I'm very thankful. It has been of a great help to me.
How to fertilize, your calculation and all that, I take all that into practice because that I never used to do. I was just doing my own things. So now I have that in practice. I have my book where I do my calculation for my plants.
In response to the question regarding possible improvements to the farmer field school to better serve future farmers, several key themes emerged. These include increasing the course's accessibility for farmers with disabilities, allowing more time to cover topics in greater depth, and offering the course in multiple districts to enhance community reach and participation. To help illustrate our point more effectively, we've included a short video.
I work with DAPD, that is Dominica Association of Persons with Disability. And one of the things I would like we and the Farmer Field School to do, to introduce those kind of programs and learning to other persons with disabilities so they can enhance their livelihood.
Because one of my challenges was location, I do think that it should be a traveling farmer field school. I know 1 Mile provides a great facility to be able to do some of the specific topics that we look at, but I do think that we have agricultural stations around the island, so it would be beneficial to move the farmer field school around.
One of the things I would like to recommend is that we had so many things to grasp and little time. So the timing, the time span, because there are some things that they wanted to go into detail with us, but time would not permit. So that is one of the recommendations I would give, as well as I know they advertise it and a lot of us attended, but like you have it in the different areas. So you have one in Portsmouth, you may have one in the north, south, east, west, or something like that to accommodate in terms of transportation, to accommodate the other districts.
No, nothing shouldn't change. It will remain the same, and I will go on and on again and get people on board. Yeah.
In response to the question on how interacting with fellow participants and facilitators enhance learning experiences, the participants consistently highlighted the value of building connections with fellow farmers and facilitators. Through group activities, collaboration, and shared field experiences, participants developed strong peer networks that extended beyond the duration of the course. These networks fostered knowledge exchange, mutual support, and opportunities for future collaboration, reinforcing the importance of community-based learning in agricultural development. We don't have the video for that one because the slide that was supposed to have the video, that was the one we couldn't share. But those are the things that the participants said as it relates to collaboration. We also interviewed one of the facilitators, the assistant facilitator, to get basically a feedback on the course, what can be improved and what she actually liked about the course. So we're going to speak about that. During the interview with one of the assistant facilitators, it was revealed that the majority of the farmers were part of an aging population, which aligned with the findings from the quantitative data. The assistant facilitator highlighted that a key strength of the course was its practical approach. Participants were able to apply what they learned in the classroom directly to their fieldwork. However, the assistant facilitator also pointed out several limitations. Notably, there was insufficient time allocated to carry out all planned activities. Additionally, the assistant facilitator emphasized the need for more crop-specific instruction to better address the diverse needs of the participants. Despite these challenges, the facilitator noted that the course successfully helped participants grasp the scientific principles behind modern agricultural practices, leading to a deeper and more meaningful understanding. For clarity and ease of reference, we refer your attention to the accompanying video.
Well, I recently joined the ministry at the time, and I got a vast experience working with the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute as a facilitator for the Farmer Field School. So I had one of the supervisors, Mr. Kian Stevenson, approach me to assist on this endeavor, and I was thrilled, honestly. So in Dominica, over the time, we find that the farmers are of that aging population. So one of the key aspects of the Farmer Field School that they had to actually participate in every day was the agro-ecosystem analysis. So this is where they get a chance, what they learn inside the classroom, to go out in the field and look for some of these key factors that they learn in the classroom. This allows them to get that hands-on experience and actually see how they can implement what they learn in the classroom in their everyday lives on the farm. Well, some of the challenges that I think that they faced was that they didn't have enough time to actually get on board with some of the activities that they were doing. Although they were pressed for time, they did make efficient use of what they had available to them. Based on many requests, they wanted to be more specific on certain targets or certain crops or certain pests and diseases. But given Farmer Field School, it's a short program that just gives them that basic knowledge that they need to move forward. So with the Farmer Field School, they actually learned some of the techniques that they were doing and the negative effects. This allowed them to actually understand why some of the practices that they're actually doing on their farm right now is not causing their production levels to go up. So understanding this science by overuse of chemicals or doing certain land preparation techniques, they had a deeper understanding and appreciation of the ecosystem that we are living in and that how it affects now and tomorrow for future generations to come. So this caused them now to change certain principles like the regular slash and burn that most of our farmers enjoy using. I think so. Yes, we did use that classroom setting where we actually got to use technologies as assisting aid tools. But at the end of every program or after every lesson, we actually got the chance to actually be on the field. The face-to-face interaction is always ideal in dealing with this kind of situation. And most time we opt that farmers tend to be shy away from the technologies. So when they were all together and they actually got to see some of the benefits and some of the uses of the technology, they were actually interested in actually continuing further, probably just having discussions on Zoom or discussion on WhatsApp group that is even still used today. Okay, well, there are actually a few things. So I understand that they wanted to do something on sustainable general. I think that they should actually be more crop specific, especially with farmers and some of the experiences that they're going through in their production system. Also, they might want to actually zone it out in different areas of the island so that at least everybody will get the chance to it. Have more advertisements on it because most times farmers found out about it late and they joined in late or they didn't get the time at all to join it. Also probably providing a stipend because at the end of the day, farming is their daily life. If they don't get to go to the farm or do anything, they don't get certain profits. So probably a stipend outside from the snacks can actually encourage them to actually come in because you don't want to have them sacrificing a whole day. To them, they don't see it beneficial at the time, but at least they have something to sustain themselves for that missing day in their regular working program.
We looked at quantitative data and we looked at qualitative data as relates to the lived experiences of the participants. I now move to my colleague, Dr. Kimone Joseph, who will provide a conclusion as it relates to the information presented.
Thank you very much, Dr. Casimir. Change slide, please, Schontal. Thank you. In concluding our presentation, we return to the central question. Change slide, please. And that question is, what were the experiences of the participants of the pilot Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School in Dominica? Change page, please. As we discussed previously, to answer this question, we sought to answer 3 sub-questions. So firstly, we wanted to know how the participants of the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School assessed the course. The mixed method investigation revealed that the course was overwhelmingly well received. In both the quantitative and qualitative explorations, it was revealed that the majority of the participants felt that the course met or even exceeded their expectations, and they all reported gaining new, immediately applicable skills, demonstrating the course's success in delivering relevant and practical training. In addition, the participants assessed the course as beneficial in terms of providing opportunities for peer networking, and they praised the effectiveness of the hands-on experiential approach. The course content was praised for effectively combining instruction with skills-based practice, while assessments were seen as manageable and supportive of their learning. The course also offered valuable opportunities for networking with other farmers. And so overall, it provided a well-rounded and practical training experience. Change slide, please. In our quest to explore the lived experiences of the participants in the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School, we examined the second question, which sought to identify challenges faced by the adult learners during the period. What we found was the participants felt there was a need for more contact hours than the prescribed 18. There was also transportation difficulties, limited facilities for differently abled participants, and the burden of time away from their farms. Such barriers highlight the importance of making sure that future programs are more inclusive and accessible, especially for those in remote and underserved situations. Change slide, please. Finally, we explored the third sub-question and were able to determine that the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School pilot had tremendous impact on the farming practices of the farmers after they finished the course. It fostered personal growth and increased their confidence in their skills. Some of them started barely able to use more than WhatsApp, and then at the end, they were able to use different technologies as they explained. Overall, the program empowered farmers to make informed agricultural decisions. They talked about their use of soil, their use of fertilizers, and so on, as ways that they were able to improve their farming practices and to move from things like slash and burn to other ways of clearing the land. With the right collaboration framework, initiatives like the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School, which was put on in Dominica by the Commonwealth of Learning, the University of the West Indies GlobalCampus Dominica, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, can advance agricultural knowledge, foster innovation, and strengthen community resilience in the face of ongoing environmental and economic challenges. Hence, Dr. Casimir and I agree that the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School pilot program was definitely a step in the right direction to empower rural people. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Barry and Kimone. And as this is a conversation, we're going to be on first name basis now going forward. Very interesting, informative presentation. And I am going to open the floor for our participants in the wider room. If they have comments or questions, I would invite you to open your mics and pose your questions now to Kimone and Barry.
A quiet room? Wow.
That means our presentation was flawless.
Or terrible, either way.
Yeah, there were some comments though about you know, as the presentation was going on, that the challenges of accommodation for disability is real, and that was one of the questions I wanted to ask, but I wanted to give the other participants a moment. So I'm going to jump in and ask about how, you know, how was the experience for the participant who was disabled, and how, in doing it differently or the next cycle, how would you seek to make provisions to be more accommodating for persons with disabilities?
So Mr. Pelwi is visually impaired, and that he was not born that way. That was a degradation that happened about 5 or 7 years ago. And so he's still learning to cope with the disability, but he is a seedling farmer. So he and his parents, they have a seedlings for sale. And so one of the challenges he had was getting to the site and the facility every day. In addition, there's not a big distance between the training area and the farm, but for somebody who is visually impaired, there is. And so he had to rely on the other participants helping him to move from one area to the other. Dr. Casimir was with the group every Thursday when they had their field sessions. So I'm going to allow him to speak about his experience with Mr. Pierre-Louis as far as adapting to the environment and being able to cope with some of the challenges like using the technology and so on to complete his assignments. Dr. Casimir?
Excellent. This was a fascinating experience. As it relates to Mr. Pelwi, what we did when he came in, we ensured that we accommodate him to move from where his transportation stopped to the classroom in terms of learning materials, areas where he could not see the information. We read it out for him, particularly when we did the quiz. In terms of heading to the field, we always ensured that he was given a lift on a vehicle to the place of training, to the field. We always ensured that two people had one hand, one on the left and one on the right, to bring him to the farm to actually help in terms of the learning. But in terms of the facilitation, at the end of the exercise, when I asked him how he felt about the facilitation, he said because the facilitators were so knowledgeable on the content areas, while he was unable to see most of the information, just hearing it and the explanation made it very easy for him to apply some of the content into what he's doing in his seedlings farming.
Okay, thanks.
I could jump in and ask a quick question if there are no questions.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask what climatic I'm not sure if there was any mention, if there are any climatic practices that are being taught through the school, through the farming school.
You good?
Yes. Some of the chief areas of training that was stressed upon were first of all the soil management. That was a big one for them. As you would have heard some of the participants said, there was a complete paradigm shift. So they were just farming, just farming, just planting and hoping it grows, right? But then the discussions and the assignments on soil types help them to understand the various soil types and what is needed to care for different crops in those soil types and what crops grow best in those particular soil types. So almost all of them talked about that. Fertilization was another one. The paradigm shift in terms of the heavy reliance on the the ready-made chemicals that are provided for them, and they can just go to the store and buy, versus using more organic farming practices. That was another big paradigm shift for a lot of them. Pest control was a third one. So they spent time in terms of learning about the different pests and how to control them, particularly with natural methods rather than the chemical methods. And another thing that was big for them was the AI, use of AI. They had never done that before. And that was another paradigm shift for them in terms of being able to see the various ways that they can use AI in their farming technologies. One of the chief requirements or chief modules that was asked for by the Minister of Agriculture was marketing. Again, farmers are farming and it grows and they cut it and they hope that people buy it and so on. Just the same basic. They'll go to the store owner and they will ask, would you like to buy my cabbages, right? But there's a definite need for marketing strategies because they need to understand that their farm is a business. So that was another key shift for them in terms of thinking, in terms of having a marketing plan and a marketing strategy, and to be able to use the technologies, the social media platforms, and all these wonderful tools that they can use in terms of marketing their crops and their seedlings and so on. So if you remember, Lisa, a lot of them, Barry would have said, a lot of them are aging population. I'm in my 40s, so I'm offended that they called 40s aging, but they did say that it was an aging population in terms of the farmers. So all of these modules were really bringing in new ideas for them, and their integration of these new ideas into their actual daily practice was really amazing to see. Dr. Casimir, I don't know if you want to add anything I forgot in terms of.
I think you spoke on
Thanks, Kimone.
everything. I think you spoke of everything. I think one of the things that really fascinated me in the class when they spoke of elevation. So what the facilitators and even the participants did not understand that depending on where you plant your produce in terms of elevation, you get different yields, different crop, how the crop looks, all of those things there were different. So we looked at those, and also you spoke about pesticides, utilizing natural means to control pests. So all of those things that were taught, issues of slash and burn, the problems with slash and burn, all of those things that that was taught with the participants, and those are things that the new areas that they learned to better actually manage their farms. But you spoke on everything as it relates to the question.
Okay, great. There are two other questions in the chat, and I also see one hand raised. So let's take the two questions and then go to Ajamo. Nicole is asking, how much did the program cater to the variety of agricultural produce to avoid the same set of crops? And before that, we had one other question about the Sabatika is asking about the factors that were put into consideration while applying the sustainable farming practices.
You're muted.
I am muted. I'll take the one from Nicole that says, how did the program cater to a variety of agricultural produce to avoid the same set of crops? So, Nicole, it was not specifically targeted to particular crop farmers or particular livestock farmers. So there was diversity there in terms of the types of crops or the types of livestock that people were engaged in farming and coming onto that farmer field school to really learn the modular skills that had been prescribed by the course. So it wasn't that it was all potato farmers or all coconut farmers and so on, but it was a variety. And I think that made it even richer because people were able to share the ideas on certain things that they were more experts in. For example, Mr. Pierre-Louis, who was visually impaired, his expert area is in vegetable seedlings. So his main clients are small backyard farmers, right? And so he was able to share in terms of his own experiences in helping small farmers, and not even necessarily farmers, people like me. I'm not a farmer, but I have a small backyard garden, helping people like us to be able to use certain tools and techniques because he has to provide advice for his clients in terms of what grows where. And so that was very beneficial to him. So it's not necessarily that they were all a particular type of farmers. In fact, there were a variety. There was great diversity in terms of what people were specifically planting. Tiffany, who was one of the people, she was the top student. She is from the Bells region, and so she's more of a dashing farmer. And so, she had her own thing. So that's very different from the seedlings that Pelui was doing. But it all came together because the modules were set up in such a way that everybody got to benefit. And when they went out into the field, everybody got a chance to talk about their own realities and to learn how to adapt these practices to their realities. Barry, the other question is, what factors were put into consideration while applying the sustainable farming practices? I'll pass that on to you.
Okay, one of the key things that we did, we ensured that we had a practical element to the theoretical element. So what was taught in the classroom, they actually implemented it right away. So that actually brought greater richness to the whole issue of the farmer field school, because the participants actually saw what was to the scientific area as to what the science of why they do that particular activity, and they were able to implement it right there on the field. So that actually helped. That's one of the major, that was one of the major advantages of the farmer field school. In terms of the whole management aspect of it, they were able to teach them how to market, how do you market your products, and they actually give them tools to actually help them in terms of marketing. So key what we did, we ensured that whatever was taught in the theoretical part, we were able to implement on the ground. So that actually helped.
Sounds good. Ajamo, go ahead. Is your audio okay, Ajamo? We're not hearing you. Not hearing Ajamo.
Can you type?
If Ajamo could put in a chat, then we would.
Yeah, you probably have to put it in the chat to Jam. We're
Yeah.
not sure why we're not hearing you.
Mhm.
All right. I had a question around youth and the fact that so many of the participants were older in age, and just wondered, why is it that you think the youth might not have picked up on the ad to capitalize on the opportunity to be a part of the farmer field school, and possibly what are you contemplating to do to reach youth in a next cohort?
Well, we hesitate to think, and so Barry and I, we are very positive people. So we hesitate to think that youth are not interested in agriculture. So we'd have to do the investigation, really, but we're hesitant to think that. Rather, we think maybe that some of the platforms that we had advertised the program on, maybe they're not hip enough for young people. So, Ajamo will come to you in just a second. So
Yes.
I think that, maybe we could have been a little bit groovier in terms of using the TikToks and so on, because I found out just last week that Facebook is so yesterday. I'm a Facebook person myself, but I'm in my 40s, you see. So I am thinking, that we need to reach them where they are. Because I hate to think, I'm hesitant to think that they did not come on board with a program that was paid for because they're not interested. I'm hesitant to think that, and I think we need to reach them more. We need to work more with the extension officers to get a full list of all the people under 40, I'm grudging to say that are in farming and successfully farming, and so that the University of the West Indies can reach out to them directly as we prepare for future programs. So this was the pilot, of course, but we are hopeful that we will be able to, the problem is us, and that future cohorts will be able to reach into where they are, invade their spaces, and provide opportunities for them. Ajamu, we can take your question now. I think we were able to hear.
Yes, I just figured out what I need to do to unmute. Thanks for the very informative presentation. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Well, yes.
Thanks for the very informative presentation, Barry and Kimone. It's for me, it was beneficial because I got a sense of educationally what's being done, at least a pilot project, but you're doing good. You're going in the right direction. What I find impressive about the participants is actually the age, because you're actually below the global level for the age of farmers. I saw something in the Jamaica Gleaner recently saying that farmers on average are about 55 years of age. And in Jamaica, it's like 48 years. So Jamaica is actually below the world average, which
So Barry,
the
we're not so bad
ministry.
after all. That's comforting.
No,
well,
it's actually good.
Well, this
It's
thing
actually
is,
a
go ahead.
good thing. The other thing that impressed me about the participants is the gender breakdown. And what I would like to find out, what is the breakdown of farmers in Dominica by gender? Are there mostly men? Because you're saying there are more female participants. And if if men dominate the farming sector, why would women dominate the training session? Because if people perceive something of
That is
benefit,
always the case.
the dominant group would tend to go and seek those resources. So if what you're delivering is perceived as beneficial to a farming sector that is dominated by men, I'm assuming it's dominated by men,
It is.
but that's a global thing. Why would the marginalized group, people with disability, young people, and women flock to the pilot training session and not the perceived demographically dominant group? That came to me immediately as I heard what the breakdown was. Also, in terms of marketing, how are we encouraging farmers into marketing cooperatives to promote the sale of their products and also for them to go up the value added chain by engaging in agro-processing activities so that they can get a greater share of the consumer retail dollar? In the United States, well, the last figure I saw was about 18 cents of each retail food dollar stays at the farm gate. So that even an imperialist country like the United States, where farmers will be perceived as relatively more powerful, farmers are not getting a large part of the retail food dollar. But if they go into agro-processing, like Suncase, the cooperative of farmers, Ocean Spray in Cranberry, that represent attempts by farmers to move further up the value-added chain so that they can capture a greater share of the retail food dollar. Like what is being done in Dominica by the ministry to encourage farmers into marketing cooperatives, and marketing cooperatives that are not just a pragmatic response to USAID, well, when USAID was around, or to some international funders giving money to a group of farmers if they're in cooperatives. So people come together, but as soon as the funding is gone, farmers return to their individualistic way. What's been done to promote marketing cooperatives? And it's not easy. It's not easy to get farmers into groups. They're very individualistic, and especially the older farmers are the more individualistic they tend to be. What's been done to use cooperatives to market and to get farmers to capture a greater share of the retail food dollar? And the last thing is, initially when I was hearing about sustainability and then I heard that they're using chemical, I was like, that's sustainability. If you're using chemical, pesticide or fertilizer, you're not farming sustainable, because how I look at it, it's either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. It's either you're going organic or you're using the capitalist industrial approach to farming. So it's to me like I'm like an absolutist when it comes to the notion of sustainability and non-sustainability. If you're using chemical, you're not engaging in sustainable farming. That's the approach that I take to it, because in the Caribbean, we are overusing pesticide, and I suspect also we're overusing chemical fertilizer based on the response of the participants to getting instruction about balancing organic practices with chemical practices. It's embarrassing when you look at the global average for pesticide use, like kilogram per hectare, and you see what we're doing in the Caribbean in terms of pesticide. You're thinking, what the hell is wrong with us? We're destroying our environment with these things. So yeah, those are the first questions, requests for information that I'm throwing out. I'm also involved in farming. I left academic plantation.
We can tell that.
I can tell that. I can tell that.
Get involved in farming. So, so I have other ideas around approaches that we should be taking to rural development and the agricultural sector. But those ideas, questions, thoughts, requests for information is what I'm throwing out right now.
Okay, so let me take the first, so there are three of them. So let me take the first one. So you are speaking about the fact that the majority of farmers would be male. That is true.
That is true.
And why are they not accessing then the training programs? So, and Jamu, that is a global issue in terms of tertiary education, that more and more women and the ratio is 85 to 15%.
85 to 15.
More and more, particularly in the global campus, even in our short courses, we see it all the time that more and more women are accessing tertiary level education and the men are taking a back seat. In fact, I do not know how it is in Jamaica, but in Dominica, before the pandemic and before the hurricane, when people did more face-to-face trainings, what we would observe is the men would drop the girlfriend or the wife to the class at UWI and then sit in the parking lot on his phone and wait for the hour and a half when she was finished, or he would go to play dominoes and then come back and meet her when the class was finished. And I'm thinking, if you're going to be hanging out in your car anyway, why didn't you just take a class too, right? And then what we have noticed, and Dr. Casimir, as the program officer, can tell you, is even in the course, so we say, okay, you're not taking those courses, we're going to get more male-centered courses for you. So we put on quantity surveying, we put on building and construction management, we put on field surveying. And guess what? Women started to come into those classes and become the top student in those classes. So I don't know what to say now, right? Because even in those classes that were typically more male, not only did the women overpowering them by their applications and registration, but they are now the top students in the class. It's very hard to find a male top student in one of the previously male-dominated considered areas. So that's a global issue in tertiary education. In terms of the second question or comment that you had, and that was around cooperatives. We are happy to report, and this week and next week, we have the International Year of Cooperatives, and so countries are doing different things in terms of celebrating that. And we are happy to report that our agricultural cooperatives in Dominica have certainly been picking up. So, for example, the beekeepers are nominated for, and I believe they're going to win, an award at Dominica's celebration next week, Friday, when they have the awards ceremony. The dashing farmers of the central region, where Tiffany, one of our participants, is a successful farmer. The women there have their own cooperative, and there are other cooperatives all over. There's a person who's a recently retired doctor, an ophthalmologist, who was telling me that she's now going into farming in the western area because she has had land in that area. And all the other farmers in the area said, oh, you're coming to farm? Let's form a cooperative. So they just started that cooperative in January, and they have fixed up their feeder roads, they're applying for grants, and so on. So we're very happy to report that more and more our farmers are getting involved in cooperatives and are seeing the value in grouping up to be able to not only market, as you're suggesting, which is excellent, and in terms of agro-processing as well, but just being able to do together what would be more difficult for them to do if they were alone. So I'm happy to say that. And the third thing concerning the fertilizers, well, I would like to be like you too and be extremist, but it is still true, very true, that in the Caribbean region, we can do a lot better than we are doing in terms of the uses of chemicals. And when there are so many alternatives that we know and we have in our natural environment that can be used instead of the chemicals, both in terms of fertilizers and in terms of pest management. But what I am happy about is that the farmers are now able to put a lot of these natural practices into their farms and into their work, and they're seeing that it is making a difference from November to now, because we did those interviews at the start of June, right, Barry? Right, yeah? So in the first 6 months of really dedicating what they had learned and putting it into practice, they are seeing positive results. So I'm very happy about that. And that slowly, not maybe as fast as you would like, but slowly they are moving away. They're weaning, I'll use that word, themselves from the chemicals. Because you are very abrupt, but they're weaning themselves to using more natural products and natural remedies and methods rather than they are being heavily reliant on the chemicals. I don't know if Dr. Casimir has anything on any one of the three or all of those three. I'm not sure. I know it's very close to your heart about men's participation in tertiary education, Barry.
in every area in terms of training and development, we see the steady decline of men not taking part in tertiary education or anything in academia. I think, Kimone, that's one of the studies that we should do, to be quite honest. My thing is that when I interviewed a few young boys, one of the key things that they said is that you go for the whole issue of education, but the rewards for it when you're finished, they don't see it. So I want to actually, I think it's something that we should consider do a research on, because that's very important. Because year after year after year after year, it's just about 15% men who do different programs. Some of the programs 100% women. Something as the farmer field school, we saw while most of the participants in agriculture are men, yet still the trade and development constituted women, 70% women. So that is something that we have to figure out. Why is that the case? In terms of the issue of cooperatives, we've seen a steady growth of cooperatives in Dominica, particularly female cooperatives. The Bells group, there's a female cooperative farmer group in Bells, which is where Tiffany is from. Even the group in Portsmouth who came with us, they also had a cooperative to actually bolster their farming and actually get more rewards because they're working in a group as compared to single. So we see that. I think when I interviewed some of the people who were part of the cooperatives, one of the things that they highlighted is there still need to be a lot of training in terms of the whole issue of record keeping, bookkeeping, marketing, and those things. But those things can come. I think once they start the cooperative, all of those elements can come. But overall, I think as it relates to farming in Dominica, we are improving. It's not where it was in the 80s or early 90s, but farming, we see it is improving. We've seen a lot of young people enter farming. It's not reflected on what we have, but still farming in Dominica, what I must say is still people of 40 years and over who are really involved in farming. In Dominica, we still have the situation in farming are basically older people who are involved in farming. Also, that I believe
Right.
is also good research to do. Why is it that young people are getting into farming while there's more money being paid in farming now as compared to the 80s and early 90s?
He's giving us a lot of food for thought, a lot of research that can be done there, Schontal.
Look, I have two nice researches I want to look at, the whole issue of the farming
Yes.
and men participation.
Ajamu, perhaps we can call on you too. We can maybe do a comparative study. That probably would be very good.
No, definitely. The question I would have about the cooperatives, do they function like business?
Yes.
Of course.
They must.
They are part of the cooperatives league.
Yes, of course.
Dominica cooperatives have to be registered, and so. Oh yes.
Then
but do they operate like a business? For example, farmers will come together and say, "Yes, we're in a cooperative." But what kind of business are they doing together? Do they bring all their tomatoes together and say we're going to make ketchup or tomato-based product? I'm talking about. Because I'm seeing what we call in cooperatives in Jamaica, and I'm dismissive of them. I'm like, they're not businesses. The individuals have no stake in the cooperative. Yes. Do they invest capital into it where they know they have skin in the game? That's not how they are. They're usually driven by external funders, giving some money to a farmers group if you're in cooperatives, so people come together, but their own money is not invested in it. And if they need to put money in it, can they rely on credit unions to loan them the money so they can invest their capital share into the cooperative? Do they have business plans? Do they have strategic plans about what it is they're going to do? Because what I'm talking about is farmers engaging in agro-processing as a business activity, or the farm store is not owned by a capitalist. A farm store could be owned by a cooperative. So the tools and the inputs that we're using in farming, they're coming through the cooperative because the cooperative creates a standalone business that operates the farm store, and you run it like a business. That is what I'm talking about.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet for two reasons. Yeah, but we're not there yet for two reasons. Many of the farmers, many people who entered farming, they would have done it. They would have left school and moved into farming. So the whole entrepreneurial aspect of agriculture, they don't have it. And not even agriculture. In Dominica, I think just about, if we have 5% of people from African descent who are successful businesses, a lot. So the whole issue of entrepreneurship is something that has to be grown not only in agriculture but throughout. We're not there yet in terms of the whole issue of people investing and growing the cooperative. We're not there yet. Many of it is done through external funders. Projects are written and they get the funding and then they improve the farming. But in terms of actually going out, getting markets, investments, buying land property together, we are not at that stage yet, to be quite honest.
So then, to
And
what
that is
degree is it a cooperative?
Excuse me?
To what extent is it a cooperative when we don't start off on a basis for
Well, then that's
economic
the
success?
question, and we
Yeah.
can't fix that,
Yeah.
but we're hoping that it will
We-
fix us. What you're saying is where we should be, but we're not
Yes,
there.
yes, but we're not there yet. I think it
Right.
requires a lot of training and development in entrepreneurship and just having a different perspective as it relates to buying, selling, and entrepreneurship. We're just not there yet in Dominica, I can tell you straight off.
Right.
It will take us some time to get there, but I think it's something that we have to move away from being consumers and entrepreneurs. That is something that we have to do
Right.
across the board.
There was one other question. How is ecotourism being integrated into farming as a revenue stream for farmers, whether they're doing farm tours, educational tours, schools doing it, or integrating visitors, both local and overseas,
Right.
into visiting the farm, or paying, or interns even paying, coming from abroad or locally, paying farmers to come and learn how to farm. Like, how is ecotourism being integrated into the farm sector as a business approach, as a revenue generating activity?
So we have agro-tourism, and that has been taking steam in recent years. So one of the more successful ones is located on Pegwa Estates, and that is called Summer Farms. And it's an exotic fruit farm, and it operates very much in terms of tours. So cruise tourists have it as one of their stops that they go to, as well as stayover tourists and hikers and locals as well. The beekeepers and their cooperative, and I hesitate to use that word around you now, but their cooperative, they have several visits that they do, both with tourists and locals, and also with school children. So they've been focusing for the past 2 years, the beekeepers, heavily on school children, particularly primary and early childhood students. So the children come to the farm, they put on the equipment and so on, and they go through and they understand fundamentally the importance of bees and the importance of flowers and so on. So that is something that has been picking up quite well. And I have noticed that industries, organizations, and I need to do that for my own staff, do that as forms of staff retreat and staff bonding as well. So they go to these particular farms as a bonding exercise for staff, because they're very educational, and at the same time, you are having a good time. And when you are finished, just like in the States, in Vermont and these places that are heavily reliant on agriculture, at the end of it, you come to the front and you buy things, either the honey or you buy the produce and so on. You get to ride on a tractor in certain farms, and all these wonderful experiences. So we have been pushing that agrotourism in Dominica, and it seems to be growing well. More farmers will have to be trained, of course, in terms of being tour guides and successfully being able to explain things to people who are not in their particular niche and so on. But so far, I can definitely say so good, and it is picking up. And a lot of the farms are located by rivers and, lovely hiking trails and so on. So you get the best of both worlds. You came to the farm, but you also get to enjoy that part of things as well. So it's picking up, and we are hopeful that it will continue to do well.
Sounds good. I see Nadi has a question. Nadi, you are on for conversation if you want to open your mic and share.
Oh, I can read the question if she
Go
likes.
ahead. Go ahead.
So the question is, given vulnerability of the Caribbean to climate change and environmental disasters, is there any emphasis on resilience in the curriculum? Dr. Casimir, you will regularly attend in the class sessions, so I will leave that one to you in terms of what aspects of climate change and climate change resilience will focus on in the Farmer Field School.
Excellent. One of the things we looked at the different crops, particularly because we're in the belt of the hurricane season. So planting more root crops, that is one of the things that was stressed on. Crops that basically you look at the different times you planted certain crops, and all of these things actually help in terms of resilience. Some of the crops that we used to do, bananas, heavily focused on bananas, we moved away from those crops to do a lot more root crops and other more sustainable crops. So what we looked at, we basically looked at different ways, different crops we could plant, so that if we have a major hurricane or storm, it doesn't affect the whole economic aspect for the farmers. So those are the things we looked at.
All right, so Lisa.
Oh, thanks again for an informative presentation to both of you. And just to let you know, I don't know if I'm getting older or what, because I found your presentation, the farming, to be very attractive for someone who's not into farming. I'm becoming, so I don't know if it's my age why I was attracted to it, but anyhow, very quickly, my question, I just want to ask if any of the participants have been trained to be facilitators or mentors within their communities.
There are programs. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go right ahead.
Okay. We had one young lady from Tiffany from Bells. She basically, in terms of the whole issue of dashing farming, she basically is able to do facilitating in terms of that. Actually, when she did her interview, she was able to give me a whole rundown as to the planting dashing, the time frame, what is required, because I thought dashing planting was very tedious work. I told her, your planting dash isn't that labor intensive, so she was able to tell me the time it's going to take from a particular time till you weed it, the amount of time you weed, and the crop and the cost to do it, and the amount of money you spend, the whole science behind every aspect of it. So Tiffany was able is doing that, and she's able to do a wonderful job in terms of facilitating, teaching and learning in terms of growing dashing.
But the course itself, though, Lisa, was designed so that because they're learning these practical skills as they go through the modules, they are able to influence others and be able to share what they have learned and become extension workers themselves. Right? So some of the participants actually talked about that. Oh, that was the one we didn't get to see, Casimir, the video that wasn't loaded. So they talked about going out into their communities, Lisa, and being able to teach other people what they had learned and being able to share with their farmers groups and so on, a lot of things that they were learning. I know that our Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Blue and Green Economy has also been placing tremendous emphasis on the training programs that will help farmers to teach other farmers as well. So there's not a heavy reliance on the extension officer in the particular district or extension officers, but that it goes far beyond that and they become extension agents themselves to their colleagues. You are muted, Lisa.
You're muted.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I'd like to follow up on Lisa's question as the final question, if no one else in the participant space has a question to raise. How committed or consistent have you been in following up with the participants in the Farmer Field School, and how do you see them feeding into maybe whatever plans to promote and to sustain this program going forward? Yeah.
So for us, when we have specific groups like that, particularly for continuing and professional education class programs, we tend to form bonds with these types of students. Yes. For us, the continuing and professional education programs at the University of the West Indies are really an opportunity for people who would otherwise not have been able to participate in this teaching and learning experience at a university setting to get the chance to be able to do so. So I say to my staff all the time, well, we have our degrees, right? But we must understand that there are people who otherwise would never have been able to get such a wonderful opportunity to be in this teaching and learning space. So just like we do for our early childhood education, our sports coaching essentials program, this farmer field school is a family of people. Yes. And so we are very fortunate for the staff at the 1 Mile Complex in Portsmouth, particularly Yasmin John, who you would have seen as one of the assistant facilitators, who are very, very accommodating to us. So anytime we call and we say we're coming to do a visit, they organize everything in terms of informing the farmers from the farmer field school, having them meet us there, and so on. And they provide constant training for the participants and other people in the northern region in terms of agricultural techniques. So that makes it even easier for us to be able to make contact and keep in contact with the participants of the farmer field school, because we have access to them where they are in their training programs when they do that. We are looking forward, when we move on, to having other cohorts. So this was the pilot, that
Excellent.
they will be able to come on board and share their own experiences. They will be part of the field training. They will be advocates for the program, telling other people about it and encouraging people to participate. This is what we're hoping, because they're alumni now. They belong to the UWI family now, and they are treated as such. And so they have a responsibility. To whom much is given, much is expected. They have a responsibility now to assist and to ensure that training continues and that the outreach efforts continue to meet people where they are.
Okay, thank you so very much, Kimone, Dr. Kimone Joseph and Dr. Barry Casimir.
Thank you.
Very informative and engaging presentation today. And it's obvious that it is, because we have 31 persons still here, even though we started over 2 hours ago. I want to thank you also, you, the participants, the VUSSC stakeholders who joined us and stay the course. And we just want to, encourage you to keep turning out for these sessions. Certainly, there's a recording of this webinar that will be put up on our YouTube playlist. And for those of you who might have joined back late because of the technical issues we had and you got bumped off, I'm happy you joined, but some of you might not have been back in time. So we hope that you'll be able to visit the YouTube space and take the presentation from the top down. When we set out with VUSSC Voices, we wanted to give our partners or consultants an opportunity to share with the wider Commonwealth and beyond what were some of the projects and initiatives that, took place between Commonwealth of Learning and institutions and ministries across the Commonwealth. And we are very happy that we have had 6 webinars showcasing some of those initiatives. We complete this cycle, and next fiscal year, which begins in July, we will actually start a new round or a new cycle of VUSSC Voices. And so we look forward to participants joining us then, and we will return in September to pick up on this new cycle of VUSSC Voices. But we're happy for the sharing of experiences, the fact that we were able to explore common challenges affecting small states and providing guidance along the way, promoting knowledge sharing, and doing that collaboration that is so useful, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. When other small states have done it successfully, we can learn from each other and become stronger. Today's presentation, Farming Smarter, Feeding Stronger, very encouraging, because we're seeing how we will be moving forward or moving the dial of sustainable agriculture forward with the farmer Field School. And we look forward to hearing more great things coming out of Dominica around, the Farmer Field School, and to take on the recommendations of the student participants. I paid attention to some of those because in that reiteration or iteration of it, we can definitely take those into account. So I just want to big up again the persons who are here from the different countries. I had noted it, and I want to give you a big shout out from, to say thanks from China, Zambia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jamaica, South Africa, Ghana, Antigua and Barbuda, the United States, Canada, Seychelles, Namibia, the Gambia, Commonwealth of Dominica, Belize, Lesotho, and Trinidad and Tobago. And if there's any other country rep that I didn't call, please go ahead, type the country in the chat space, and so that we can have that recorded as well. And just thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And we encourage you, just after we close out, to please go in and do the quick survey of today's webinar. It's only 8 questions. It shouldn't take you more than, say, 5 minutes. So we just want to encourage you to please just quickly complete that survey for us so that we can know how today went for you, your experience, and your recommendations. So any parting words, Kimone and Barry, before we close off, and Lisa as well?
We just want to really thank you for having us. Again, I do apologize for the late start, but we are grateful for the opportunity. We are grateful for the collaboration that the University of the West Indies Global Campus has been able to have with the Commonwealth of Learning and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy in Dominica. We look forward to other opportunities. We are already looking at facilitating a cohort for our indigenous people, the Kalinagos. So we are looking forward to begin that particular project in the Farmer Field School. And so we are very grateful and humbled by those who joined us today for the presentation. And we look forward to collaborations with you. And so please feel free to reach out to us at the UWI Global Campus in Dominica to share ideas and talk about possible research projects and other projects that you think we can be engaged in. I now give Barry the opportunity to give his final remarks.
Okay, I just want to thank Coles. When we started the project, we didn't even vision that it would have been that, but we're really grateful to see the total conclusion, how the participants felt, and what are the possibilities for the future. We're really grateful for that opportunity. We're also grateful for the people who joined. We're really grateful for the different opinions and what they shared. Those things will go in hand to actually make our program even better. We also hope that we can do more collaboration, of course, in the future. And we hope that we can actually network with the participants who are there so we can learn more and improve our agriculture in Dominica. Again, thank you all so much.
Lisa?
Thanks again for a very informative presentation. And Kimone and Barry, I'm going to be looking out for courses that are available for laypersons like me who are falling in love with farming. Thank you.
Thanks so very much, everyone. And just 2 closing comments from the chat. I see where Venice is asking if there are opportunities for participants to volunteer and coordinate in the program. So, Venice, we will reach out. We will pass on your information, and Barry and Kimone can reach out to you. And acknowledgement of one other country, we have Kidero from the United Kingdom present, and so just want to big up everyone. Okay, thank you again. Lovely. We appreciate you being here, and it was really great. I enjoyed the session very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.